incorrect out of 10. So let's begin our today's MCQs. So question number 1 is with reference to Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Yojana. First, the scheme will provide subsidized food grains exclusively to the people below poverty line. Second, the scheme aims to deliver 1 kg pulses to each household free of charges for 3 months. So here first is incorrect, second is correct, so option will be B, second only. So Finance Minister has announced a rupees 1.7 lakh crore package under this Yojana to directed at bringing relief to urban and rural poor, migrant workers and women, and under the scheme 80 crore poor people, not exclusively to below poverty line, will be covered, which is around 2/3 of the population, and they will be given 5 kg rice or wheat each month for the next 3 months free of charge, in addition to the 5 kg they already get. And each household will get 1 kg of pulses of their choice for next 3 months, and it is also given for free of charge. Also, government will deposit rupees 2,000 to each of the 8.69 crore farmers' account starting April 1st, while a wage increase for Manrega workers has been approved, giving rupees 2,000 additional income to daily wage workers. Now, question number 2 is consider the following statement. First, NRI deposits are foreign currency deposits made in an Indian bank which are permanent in nature. Second, remittances are foreign currency funds which have no risk of outflow. So here first is incorrect, second is correct, so option will be B, second only. So the NRI deposits are foreign currency deposits made in an Indian bank by a non-resident Indian, and these deposits can be repatriated by the NRI on maturity along with the interest earned, and they are essentially invested for a reason or are investments and are vulnerable to outflow. Whereas remittances are foreign currency funds sent by NRIs to their families in India and are meant for their maintenance and upkeep, and hence cannot be repatriated. So remittances to relatives are a current account transfer and are permanent in nature, and hence there is no risk of outflow, resulting in a more valuable source of foreign exchange. So NRI deposits are not permanent in nature, whereas remittances are. And the context is major private sector banks are clamping down on retail offerings, including by shopping foreign currency deposits by NRIs over fear that transmission would occur via such nodes. And here transmission means COVID-19 infection. Now, question number 3 is with reference to Mahi River. First, Mahi River is an east-flowing river of India originating from Madhya Pradesh. Second, the river crosses Tropic of Cancer tribe. So here the statement first is incorrect, second is correct. So option will be B, second only. So the Mahi is a river in western India which rises in Madhya Pradesh and after flowing through Rajasthan enters Gujarat and drains into the Arabian Sea. And it is one of some best flowing rivers in India, not east flowing. That's why statement first was incorrect. And along with Tapti River, Sabarmati River, Luni River and Narmada River, these all are west flowing rivers. And Mahi River crosses Tropic of Cancer twice, and the important fact is that it is the only river in the world to do so. Also try to recall there is one river which crosses equator twice. It is situated in Africa. If you know the answer, please write in the comment section below. If you don't know, please Google it. Then the silt brought down by Mahi has contributed to the shallowing of the Gulf of Khambar and the abandonment of the prosperous port. So this one is an issue. Now, question number 4 is ex-serviceman contributory health scheme is an initiative of which of the following ministry? So the correct answer here is Ministry of Defence. So option will be B, second. So this scheme is a flagship scheme of Ministry of Defence under Department of Ex-Servicemen Welfare, and the objective of the scheme is to provide quality healthcare of ex-servicemen pensioners and their dependents, and it aims to provide allopathic and Ayush Medicare to ex-servicemen, pensioners and their dependents through a network of ECHS polyclinics, service medical facilities and civil and pendant Ayush hospitals spread across the country. And the context is that amid COVID-19 emergency and lockdown, ECHS has allowed veterans with lifestyle diseases on long treatment to purchase the required medicines for the month of April at once. Now, question number 5 is G20 virtual summit held recently was chaired by which of the following countries? So the correct answer is Saudi Arabia. So option will be C. So G20 virtual summit was organized on 26 March 2020 and leaders from group of 20 nations attended summit through video conference, and it was chaired by Saudi Arabia, and the summit was held to discuss ways to move forward in coordinating global efforts to combat the corona epidemic and to limit its humanitarian and economic impact. And the G20 is a group of 20 nations in the world comprising the G7 nations, and G7 nations include Canada, France, Germany, Italy, Japan, UK and US, plus 11 emerging and smaller industrialized countries including India. So you have to find out which countries are common with G20 and G7 nations. And G20 summit is expected to held on 21st and 22nd November 2020 in the Saudi Arabia's capital city of Riyadh. So it is expected in November 2020. Now, question number 6 is which of the following are the conditions responsible for the emergence of a tropical cyclone? First, strong Coriolis force. Second, large and continuous supply of warm and moist air that can release enormous latent heat. Third, unstable conditions through the troposphere. Fourth, absence of strong vertical wind waves. So here, all the given statements are correct. So option will be D, all of the above. So here is the picture of tropical cyclone is given, and a tropical cyclone is a rapidly rotating storm system characterized by a low pressure center, a closed low-level atmospheric circulation, strong winds and a spiral arrangement of thunderstorms that produce heavy rain or squalls, and tropical cyclone also called typhoon and hurricane. Now question number 7 is recently contact tracing was in news. So consider the following statement. First, contact tracing is a novel concept. Second, it is one of the methods of detecting an outbreak and infected people. Third, contact tracing is an important step during a disease outbreak, but it is insufficient alone in controlling it. So here, statement first is incorrect. So option will be A, one only, because this one is incorrect one. And first is incorrect because contact tracing is not a novel concept and has been used as a method to track cases of the Ebola virus in Africa. And according to WHO, contact tracing can be broken down into 3 steps, and these 3 steps are: first is contact identification, second contact listing, third contact follow-up. Now question number 8 is what could be the possible impacts of social distancing? First, it can cause anxiety and stress. Second, it can improve mental health of the people. So here first is correct, but second is obviously incorrect. So our option will be A, one only. So second is incorrect because enormous stress and uncertainty could take an unprecedented toll on mental health, and the elderly have been feeling more and more isolated, and loneliness has been seen as a major determinant of people's health, mental health and lifespan, and the elderly may also not be able to use modern means of communication, and they have no physical proximity to people. This can mean headache, anxiety or stress for them. Similarly, children are accustomed to playing with friends and being surrounded by a number of adults, especially to joint families. As the schools are closed, it is massive change, but young people and children may not understand why this is happening, and this increases their anxiety. Now, question number 9 is recently regional rural banks or RRBs were in news. So consider the following statement. You have to choose the correct one regarding the functioning of RRBs. So in the given options, all the given options are correct, so option will be D, all of the above, because every function is correct. So the regional rural banks are owned by central government, state government and sponsored banks who held shares in the ratio of 50% is with central government, 15% with state government and 35% with sponsored banks. So the most stake is with central government, and RRBs are recognized by the law and they have legal significance. Then RRBs may have branches set up for urban operations and their area of operation may include urban areas too. So don't get confused that these banks are related only to rural areas. They can also be operationalized in urban areas as well. Now question number 10 is, which country is located completely south of Tropic of Cancer? So in the given countries, you have to choose the correct one. So none of the given countries is correct, so option will be D, none of the above. So here is the map is given and the given country are incorrect because these are the countries in which Tropic of Cancer passes through and they are not completely in southern direction of Tropic of Cancer. So there are 16 countries, 3 continents and 6 water bodies lies on Tropic of Cancer. So you must read out these countries, continents and water bodies because this is a factual part and you have to remember this, and don't feel that any question is obsolete. Trend in UPSC can change anytime. So don't lose your focus. So that's all in our today's MCQs. Hope you guys are liking our today's MCQs. So question number 1 is with reference to Schedule H1 to the Drugs and Cosmetics Rule 1945. First, the rules give the guidelines for storage, sale, display of essential drugs in India. Second, the Schedule H1 are permitted for self-medication. So here statement first is correct but second is incorrect. So option will be A, one only. So the Ministry of Health through a special amendment has categorized hydroxychloroquine, which is a drug, as a Schedule H1 drug, and this has been declared essential drug to treat COVID-19 patients, and the sale of drugs specified in this Schedule H1 to the Drugs and Cosmetic Rules 1945 ensures that the drug cannot be sold over the counter and export of the drug has been banned, and the supply of a drug specified in Schedule H1 shall be recorded in a separate register giving the name and address of the prescriber, name of patient, drug and the quantity supplied. But statement second was incorrect because any preparation containing the said drug will have a warning label with the symbol RX, which shall be in red of only prescription sale, and it is against self-medication. Now, question number 2 is with reference to Council of Ministers. First, the Council of Ministers is collectively responsible to the Governor of concerned state. Second, it is appointed by Governor on the advice of Chief Minister. So here statement first is incorrect, second is correct. So option will be B, second only. So Article 60, not 60, 163. It states that there shall be a Council of Ministers with the Chief Minister as the head to aid and advise the Governor in the exercise of his functioning, except in so far as he is by or under this Constitution required to exercise his function or any of them in his discretion. Then Article 164 says that the Chief Minister shall be appointed by Governor and other ministers shall be appointed by the Governor on the advice of Chief Minister, and the Minister shall hold office during the pleasure of the Governor, and the Council of Ministers shall be collectively responsible to the Legislative Assembly of the state, not the Governor. That's why statement first was incorrect. And then Article 167 says that it shall be the duty of Chief Minister to communicate to the Governor all the decisions of the COM, that is Council of Ministers, related to the administration of the affairs of the state and proposal for legislation. So Council of Ministers are collectively responsible to Legislative Assembly. Do remember it. Now question number 3 is with reference to Malabar civet. So first, Malabar civet is endemic to Western Ghat of India. Second, the IUCN status of the species is vulnerable. So here statement first is correct, but second is incorrect. So option will be A, one only. So here you can see the image of Malabar civet, and it is also called Malabar large spotted civet, and it is species which is endemic to Western Ghat of India. If it is given that it is endemic to Eastern Ghat of India, then the statement would be incorrect. Again, it resembles like a small dog, but the IUCN status of Malabar civet is critically endangered, and hence the question becomes very important. And it is critically endangered because the population is estimated to number fewer than 250 mature individuals. So it is seriously threatened by habitat destruction and hunting outside the protected areas. Now question number 4 is Operation Namaste. Recently news has been launched to. So here are the 4 options given. You have to choose the correct one. And the correct one here is it is to contain COVID-19. So option will be B. So Indian Army has recently launched an anti-COVID-19 operation. Code name is Operation Namaste, and this operation will be Indian Army's effort to help the government of India counter the outbreak of coronavirus. So you have to also remember this, that the Operation Namaste has been launched by Indian Army. And under this operation, the Army has established 8 quarantine facilities so far across India, and command-wise helplines numbers have been issued, and they can be approached to seek help. Now, question number 5 is Great Himalayan National Park is located in which of the following state or UT of India? So the correct answer is Himachal Pradesh. Option will be C. So Great Himalayan National Park is situated in Kulu district in Himachal Pradesh, and the park consists mostly of temperate and alpine forest along with virgin coniferous forest, and there are several important wildlife species like musk deer, leopard, snow leopard, etc. are also found there, and this national park is listed as UNESCO's World Heritage Site. Now question number 6 is recently the government has announced relief package in the wake of lockdown conditions. So consider the following statement. First, it has increased entitlement of food grains supplied through the PDS. Second, it also aims to alleviate the financial pain faced by migrant workers, farmers, urban and rural poor and women. Third, roughly 80 crore Indian population will benefit from this package. Fourth, LPG gas cylinders would be distributed free to 8 crore poor families for the next 1 year. So here, first 3 statements are correct, but fourth is incorrect. So our option will be A if you eliminate fourth one. And fourth one is incorrect because this scheme or package has been announced for next 3 months, not for 1 year as of now. And the least that the government can do for those worst hit by lockdown is to secure their basic dal, roti and cooking fuel requirements. And the main problem for poor and vulnerable households today is liquidity stress. And unlike big businessmen or the salaried middle class, these are people with no balance sheets, reserves or bank balances. And every day's loss of work for them means cutting down even basic consumption and going deeper into debt. Now question number 7 is recently RBI has also allowed to banks to give relief to borrowers. So consider the following statement. First, RBI has permitted banks to allow a moratorium of 3 months on the payment of installment in respect of all term loans. Second, individuals and companies who have availed term loans can benefit from this move. Third, moratorium facility is available on term loans extended by all commercial banks including regional rural banks. So we have to choose incorrect one, and all the given statements are correct, so our option will be D, none of the above. So this move basically means that non-payment during the next 3 months will not affect the credit history of the customers and their account will not be tagged as non-performing assets. And for corporate India too, this is a big relief, especially for those companies that have low reserve, and the moratorium will be applicable on both principal as well as on interest. Now question number 8 is with reference to environment and ecology. So consider the following difference between carbon footprint and carbon handprint. First, carbon footprint is combination of negative actions that impact environment, whereas carbon handprint is one or all of the positive things done to reduce this impact. Second, the goal should be to grow one's footprint larger than one's handprint. So here statement first is correct. The second is incorrect, so option will be A, one only. So here is the image is given. You can pause and read out these positive and negative effects, means how carbon handprint could increase positive effects and how it could reduce negative effects. And second is incorrect because goal is to grow one's handprint larger than one's footprint. And a carbon footprint is historically defined as the total GHG emissions caused by an individual, event, organization or product and expressed as carbon dioxide equivalent. And option to reduce the carbon footprint of humans include reduce, reuse, recycle and refuse. Now question number 9 is what could be the possible reason or reasons behind emergence of New York as an epicenter of the USA's COVID-19 outbreak? So in the given option, because all are the reasons, so option will be D, all of the above. And D is correct because all the given reasons behind the scenario is correct. And New York City with more than 25,000 cases of the novel coronavirus, which is around 5% of the world's cases, has become the epicenter of the outbreak within the US, and it is possible that the public transport system of the city also contributed to the ease with which this infection has spread. Now, question number 10 is in which of the following state of India does Pichavaram mangrove forest is located? So in the given option, the correct option is option C, that is Tamil Nadu. So here you can see in the map, it is located in Tamil Nadu and it is one of the largest mangrove forests in India, covering about 1100 hectares of area. So that's all in today's MCQ. Question number 1 is with reference to Prime Minister's National Relief Fund. So first, PMNRF fund is raised to provide support for people solely affected by natural disasters. Second, all contributions towards this fund are exempted from income tax. So statement first is incorrect, second is correct, so option will be B, second only. So this fund is the fund raised to provide support for people affected by both natural as well as man-made disaster. That's why statement first was incorrect. So natural disaster which covers flood, cyclone, earthquakes, etc. and man-made disasters include major accidents, acid attacks, riots, etc. And this fund was established in 1948 entirely with public contribution and does not get any budgetary support and accepts voluntary contributions from individuals, organizations, trusts, companies and institutions. And all the contributions towards this fund are exempted from income tax and disbursements are made with the approval of Prime Minister. This you should be knowing. Here the approval authority is Prime Minister, not President nor Parliament. Now question number 2 is with reference to Cantonment Board. First, it is a civic administration body in India under the control of Ministry of Defence. Second, cantonments are areas which are exclusively meant for military population. So here statement first is correct, the second is incorrect, so option will be A, one only. So a cantonment area is a civic administrative body in India which is under the control of Ministry of Defence, and the overall municipal administration of the cantonment areas comes under cantonment boards which are democratic bodies, and the cantonment areas are primarily meant to accommodate the military population and their installations. And cantonments are different from the military stations in that the military stations are purely meant for the use and accommodation of the armed forces, and these are established under an exclusive executive order, whereas cantonments are areas which are comprises of both military as well as civil populations. And that's why statement second was incorrect. And the board comprises elected members besides ex officio and nominated members as per the Cantonment Act 2006, and the term of office of a member of a board is 5 years. So it has a fixed term. Now, question number 3 is with reference to pygmy hawk. First, the smallest species of pig is native to Himalayan grassland habitat. Second, the IUCN status of the species is vulnerable. So here statement first is correct, second is incorrect. So option will be A, one only. So this is the image of pygmy hawk, and it is world's smallest wild pig native to alluvial grasslands in the foothills of the Himalayas, and at present the only known population lives in southern Bhutan and in Manas Wildlife Sanctuary in Assam in India, and its population is estimated at less than 250 mature individuals, and that's why it is included under IUCN status of critically endangered. Hence the question becomes important, and it is an indicator of the management status of grassland habitat. Now, question number 4 is the term force majeure was in news recently, so it refers to which of the following? So the correct answer is extraordinary events or circumstance beyond human control. So our option will be C. So force majeure means extraordinary events or circumstance beyond human control, such as an event described as an act of God, like a natural calamity, and the clarifying that spread of coronavirus should be considered as a natural calamity, and force majeure clause may be invoked. So Ministry of Railways has decided that the period from 22 March to 14 April shall be treated under force majeure, and none of the following mentioned charges shall arise for this period, that is demurrage charges, warfare charge on parcel traffic, etc. And zone railways have been advised to coordinate with state government authorities to ensure logistics support in order to keep up the essential goods transportation. Now question number 5 is Secure Himalaya project is a Ministry of Environment's initiative in collaboration with which of the following? So it is done in collaboration with United Nations Development Programme, that is UNDP. So option will be B. So Secure Himalaya means securing livelihood, conservation, sustainable use and restoration of high-range Himalayan ecosystem, and it is a 6-year project which was launched by Union Ministry of Environment in association with UNDP, and the Secure project aims at securing livelihood, conservation, sustainable use and restoration of high-range Himalayan ecosystem, curb illegal trade in some medicinal and aromatic plants, protection of snow leopard and other endangered species for specific landscapes, and these include Changthang in Jammu and Kashmir, Lahul, Pangi and Kinnaur in Himachal Pradesh, Gangotri, Govind and Dharma, Beas Valley in Pithoragarh in Uttarakhand, Kanchenjunga in Upper Tista Valley in Sikkim. Now question number 6 is recently Malabar civet was in news, so consider the following statement. I hope you can answer it correctly. First, it is endemic to Western Ghats of India. Second, it is listed as endangered on the IUCN Red List. Third, it is considered nocturnal. Fourth, it is now seriously threatened by habitat destruction and fragmentation. So you must be knowing that here statement second is incorrect. So option will be B if you eliminate second one. So here is the image is given and second is injured because IUCN status of Malabar civet is critically endangered, and it is also called Malabar large spotted civet and is dusky grey, and until the 1990s it was confined to remnant forest and disturbed thicket in cashew and rubber plantation in northern Kerala, where the hunting pressure was another major threat. Now question number 7 is, consider the following environment and ecology terminology. First, grey water footprint. So is it the amount of fresh water required to assimilate pollutants to meet specific water quality standards? Is correct or not? Second is blue water footprint, which is the amount of surface water and groundwater required to produce an item. Third is green water footprint, that is the rainwater and soil moisture consumed by plants and crops in their cultivation. So here all of the given statements are correct, so option will be D, none of the above. So here is the image is given. Red water means rainwater use, blue means water used for survey from surface and groundwater, and grey water means fresh water used to dilute pollution. And the water footprint measures the amount of water used to produce each of the goods and services we use, and it can be measured for a single process such as growing rice, for a product such as a pair of jeans, or the fuel we put in our car, or for an entire multinational company. And the water footprint can also tell us how much water is being consumed by a particular country or globally in a specified river basin or from an aquifer. Now question number 8 is, recently BBCI was in news, so consider the following statement. First, it is the national governing body for cricket in India. Second, it is registered under the Tamil Nadu Societies Registration Act. So here both the given statements are correct, so option will be C. So the body was formed in December 1928, means it is pre-independence era organization, and it is a society, and it is a consortium of state cricket association, and the state association selected their representatives, who in turn elect the BCCI chief, and its headquarters is in Wankhede Stadium in Mumbai, and it does not depend on the Government of India for its finances. So this one is important. Now question number 9 is, who of the following are not at front lines of recent pandemic COVID-19? So here healthcare workers are at forefront, police administration is also at front lines, but children are not at front lines. So our option will be C, that is children. And C is correct because children are not allowed to go out, but healthcare workers and police administration are at the front lines of battling the pandemic. And apart from healthcare workers, death care workers including coroners, medical examiners, funeral directors, airline staff and waste management staff are also at increased risk of exposure to the infection. And these are some of people whom we generally neglect, but they are playing important role in fighting with this infection. Now question number 10 is, in which of the following state of India does Muthupet mangrove forest is located? So if you have focused on yesterday's MCQs, you might have guessed this answer correctly, and the answer is C, that is Tamil Nadu. So here is the same map, and Muthupet mangrove forests are located just below the Pichavaram mangrove forest. So do focus these kind of details. And that's all in our today's MCQs. Hope you guys are liking this. So question number 1 is, which of the following factors are responsible for shrinking coal plant development in India? First, low investment. Second, falling prices of renewable energy. Third, public resistance. So here all the given statements are correct, so option will be D, all of the above. So the latest report, Boom and Bust 2020, tracking the global coal plant pipeline, which is the 5th annual survey of the coal plant pipeline, has been released recently, and it was a jointly released report by the Center for Research on Energy and Clean Air, Greenpeace International, the Sierra Club and Global Energy Monitor. And the report highlights that the capacity of coal power plants in the pre-construction phase fell by half in the country, and it also indicates that private sector is exiting coal plant development in the country and the public sector is stepping in and footing the bill. And the reason given behind the shrinking coal pipeline in India is subdued demand for coal-based electricity, falling utilization factor, falling prices of renewable energy, growing investment and increasing public resistance due to pollution. Now question number 2 is, which of the following categories have been exempted from lockdown? First, packaging units of seeds. Second, manufacturing units of fertilizers. Third, harvesting of crops. So here all the given statements are correct. So option will be D, all of the above. So amid the lockdown in the country due to COVID-19, the Union Home Minister has issued the second addendum under which the farming and allied activities have been exempted from the lockdown, and they include agencies engaged in procurement of agricultural products such as MSP operations, mandis operation by the MPMCs or as notified by the state government, farming operations by farmers and farm workers in the field, manufacturing and packaging units of fertilizers, pesticides and seed. It also allows intra and interstate movement of harvesting and sowing related machines like combined harvester and other agriculture and horticulture implements have also been exempted from the lockdown. And the decision has been taken with a view to address problems being faced by the farming community, and which is also necessary because large number of people in India are engaged in farming and allied sectors. Now question number 3 is, you have to consider the following statement with reference to Siberian ibex. So first, the species of wild goat is scattered in a range of diverse habitats. Second, the IUCN status of the species is endangered. So here, first is correct, but second is incorrect. So option will be A, one only. So this is the image of Siberian ibex, and it is a species of wild goat which is distributed in diverse habitats ranging from cold desert, steep terrain, highland flats and mountain ridges to low mountain and foothills. And from Mongolia, its distribution extends towards Himalayan ranges of Russia and a scattered population in the small mountains of Transalpine Gobi. But the IUCN status is least concerned, not endangered. That's why statement second was incorrect. And the context is that a recent study by scientists of Geological Survey of India has proved that Himalayan ibex is a distinct species from the Siberian ibex. And Himalayan ibex is distributed mainly in the Trans-Himalayan ranges of the United Territories, meaning Union Territories of Ladakh and Jammu and Kashmir and state of Himachal Pradesh. Now question number 4 is, Project CONTACT recently news is an initiative of which of the following ministry? So these kind of questions you can only attempt if you know the exact answer. And the correct answer here is Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. So option will be C. So the project CONTACT refers to COVID-19 National Teleconsultation Center, has been conceptualized by the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare and has been implemented by the All India Institute of Medical Sciences, that is AIIMS of New Delhi. And CONTACT is the telemedicine hub wherein expert doctors from various clinical domains will be available 24/7 to answer the multi-fact questions from specialists from all over the country. And it is a multimodal telecommunication hub through which two-way audio, video and text communication can be undertaken from any part of the country as well and the world. And CONTACT have been made operational with a view to conduct the doctors via contacting across the country to AIIMS in real time for the treatment of COVID-19 patients. Now question number 5 is, Galo community recently news belongs to which of the following states? So the correct answer is it belongs to Arunachal Pradesh. The option will be B. So this is the image of Galo community, and they are the one of 26 major communities of Arunachal Pradesh and dominate West Siang, Lepa, Rada and Lower Siang districts, and Galos belong to the Tani group inhabiting Assam and Arunachal Pradesh besides Tibet, and they trace their common origin to a primeval ancestor about me, and the community has been recognized as a scheduled tribe. And the context is that in the wake of COVID-19, the traditional lockdown ritual Arvinam was conducted by the community. Now question number 6 is related to PM CARES Fund. So consider the following statements. First, it was created in the year 2003. Second, it will help in fighting COVID-19 pandemic in India. Third, the Prime Minister is the chairman of the trust. Fourth, Home Minister is one of the members of this trust. So here, statement first is incorrect. So if we eliminate statement first, we get option C. And second is incorrect because PM CARES Fund was created recently on 28 March 2020 following COVID-19 pandemic in India, and it is dedicated national fund with the primary objective of dealing with any kind of emergency or distress situation, and its members include Defense Minister, Home Minister and Financial Minister, and this fund will enable micro donation, as a result of which a large number of people will be able to contribute with smallest of denomination. Now question number 7 is consider the following regarding COVID-19 outbreak. First, death rate in COVID-19 is higher than recovery rate. Second, COVID-19 infection is more contagious compared to SARS-23, not 2003 outbreak. Third, some recovered COVID-19 patients have also been tested positive second time. So here the incorrect one is first, so option will be A. And option A is incorrect. It means statement 1 is incorrect because recovery rate is currently higher than death rate due to COVID-19 infection. So this is a current trend. Currently recovery rate is higher compared to death rate. And theoretically, various factors can cause relapse in patients recovered from COVID-19, and SARS-CoV-2, that is the virus which causes COVID-19, is like viruses that can cause any other flu, and therefore there is always a probability of mutilation as in the case of influenza viruses, and the mutation theoretically can make an individual vulnerable to reacquire the COVID-19 infection. Now question number 8 is, recently convalescent plasma theory was in news. First, it seeks to make use of antibodies developed in the recovered patient against the coronavirus. Second, plasma collected from recovered patient will be injected in critically ill patients. So here both the given statements are correct, so option will be C. So a study in the Lancet Infectious Disease recently said a COVID-19 patient usually develops primary immunity against the virus in 10 to 14 days. Therefore, if the plasma is injected at an early stage, it can possibly help fight the virus and prevent severe illness. And the hospital blood bank in the USA are now planning to collect blood from at least 250 recovered COVID-19 patients. So it is under trial phase. Now question number 9 is, recently patient zero term was in news. So what do you understand by this term? Means you have to find out the right statement. So here the correct option is A, that is patient 0 is person identified as the first carrier of a communicable disease outbreak. And first, that is option A is correct because a person identified as the first to become infected with an illness or disease in an outbreak is said to be a patient 0. Means in reality it is not necessary that he is the first person, but the person who is documented first or identified first is termed as patient 0. So recently a 57-year-old female shrimp sailor in China's Wuhan city, the originating point of coronavirus pandemic, has been identified as one of the first victims of COVID-19. So as of now, she is patient 0 in COVID-19 infection case. Now question number 10 is, which of the following island or islands are located west of international dateline? So in the given option, Tonga, Fiji, Kiribati, all are located west side of international dateline. So our option will be D, all of the above. So here is the map is given and you can see Fiji, Tonga, Kiribati are in the western side of international dateline. Other islands like Samoa, Tokelau, Wallis and Futuna, Tuluva, etc. are also located on the west side of international dateline. So that's all in our today's MCQs. Hope you guys are liking the lecture. And so question number 1 is with reference to Nidhi Prayas scheme. First, the scheme is an initiative of Ministry of Human Resource and Development. Second, it aims to create young innovators and inspiring technology entrepreneurs. So here, statement first is incorrect, second is correct. So option will be B, second only. So Nidhi stands for National Initiative for Developing and Harnessing Innovations, and it is an umbrella program of Department of Science and Technology, which is under Ministry of Science and Technology. That's why statement first was incorrect. And under this Nidhi scheme, there is Prayas program, which is promoting and accelerating young and aspiring innovators and startups, and which has been initiated, in which established technology business incubators are supported with Prayas grant to support to young innovators and entrepreneurs with grants for proof of concept and developing prototypes. And the maximum grant given to technology business incubators for establishing a Prayas center is rupees 220 lakh. So do remember, it is an initiative of Ministry of Science and Technology. Now question number 2 is with reference to Sunrise mission. First, the mission is an endeavor of NASA for greater understanding of the solar system. Second, it looks for reason how sun generates and releases the solar particle storms. So here, both the given statements are correct. So option will be C. So Sunrise stands for the Sun Radio Interferometer Space Experiment, which has been set for launch in 2023 by NASA, and it will help in greater understanding of the solar system and finding about safeguard astronauts from solar storms will also help while they travel to Mars or the Moon. And this mission contains 6 CubeSats which will work together as a large radio telescope and will observe radio images of low frequency emission from solar activities and create 3D maps to locate the origin place of a solar particle storm on the Sun. So this mission is an endeavor of NASA. Now question number 3 is with reference to phytoplankton. First, phytoplanktons are microalgae found abundantly along upwelling zones of the oceans. Second, they necessarily require salt water in order to survive. So here statement first is correct, but second is incorrect. So option will be A, one only. So phytoplanktons are microscopic organisms that live in both salty as well as fresh water. That's why statement second was incorrect. And they are most abundant in the upper part of the ocean, and they are similar to terrestrial plants as they also contain chlorophyll, which they require in photosynthesis, and they also require sunlight in order to live and grow. And through photosynthesis, phytoplankton consume carbon dioxide on a scale equivalent to forest and other land plants, and they thrive along coastlines and continental shelves and are abundant along upwelling zone along the equator and near coastline. But they are scarce in remote oceans where nutrient levels are low, and they also play major role in the foundation of aquatic food web and serve as a primary producer. Now next question. Question number 4 is Stranded in India portal recently in news is an initiative of which of the following ministry? So the correct ministry is Ministry of Tourism. So option will be B. So amid the COVID-19 lockdown, there are numerous foreign tourists stranded in India due to shutdown in air transport. So Ministry of Tourism has come up with a portal named Stranded in India to disseminate information regarding the services that can be availed by foreign tourists who are stuck in various parts of country and control the panic due to fake news. And the portal gives comprehensive information around COVID-19 helpline number or call centers that the foreign tourist can reach out. Also, it contains variety of information around Ministry of External Affairs control centers along with their contact information and information around state or regional tourist support infrastructure. Now question number 5 is Helsinki Convention recently news is related to protection of marine environment of which of the following? So the correct answer is Baltic Sea. So option will be C. So this is the map of Baltic Sea, and Helsinki Convention or Convention on the Protection of Marine Environment of the Baltic Sea Area 1992 is an international convention for the preventive and elimination of pollution of the Baltic Sea. And Baltic Sea is a semi-enclosed inland brackish sea located in northern Europe and is considered as an arm of Atlantic Ocean, and it is enclosed by Denmark, Estonia, Finland, Latvia, Lithuania, Sweden, Northeast Germany, Poland, Russia, and the North and Central European plain. And the context is that the declining sea in the Baltic Sea has disrupted the survival of seals as they are forced to inhabit smaller islands, which is leading to overcrowding. Now question number 6 is recently the need of ventilators has suddenly spiked. So consider the following statement. First, ventilators are mechanical devices that help a patient breathe. Second, supply system for gases like oxygen are used in ventilators. Third, ventilators allow to rest the patient's lungs by giving them oxygen at higher rates. Fourth, they allow the patient time to heal. So here all the given statements are correct. So option will be D, all of the above. So this is the image of ventilator is given, and here are some additional information regarding ventilator, also called respirator, are given. Like ventilator contains sensors, software, turbines, etc. You can pause and read out, or you can read them after downloading the PPTs. Now question number 7 is consider the following characteristics of Mediterranean climate. First, it is characterized by dry summer and mild wet winters. Second, Mediterranean climate zones are typically located along the western side of continents. Third, wheat cultivation is very extensive in this climate type. And we have to choose incorrect statement. So here the incorrect one is third statement. So option will be C. So here is the map of area with Mediterranean climate is given, and statement third is incorrect because extensive wheat cultivation is the characteristics of temperate grasslands, not Mediterranean climate. And Mediterranean climate is characterized by hot dry summer and cool wet winters, and located between 30 and 45 degree latitude north and south of the equator and on the western side of the continents. And the basic cause of this type of climate is the shifting of wind belts, and the absence of shade is a distinct feature of the Mediterranean lands, and the Mediterranean lands are also known as world's ozark lands. Now question number 8 is in the context of science and technology, consider the following differences between cellular respiration and photosynthesis. First, photosynthesis is an anabolic process wherein respiration is a catabolic process. Second, photosynthesis only occurs in light whereas respiration only occurs in night. So here statement first is correct, the second is incorrect. So option will be A, one only. And statement second is incorrect because photosynthesis only occurs in light, but cellular respiration occurs both during day and night, as it does not require light. And rest of the differences are given in the image. You can read out. Now let's move on to the next question. Now question number 9 is recently sodium hypochlorite was in use. So what are the use of sodium hypochlorite? So in the given option you have to choose the correct one. So the correct option here is D, that is all of the above. And option D is correct because all the given statements are correct and all are the uses of sodium hypochlorite. And as a common bleaching agent, sodium hypochlorite is used for a variety of cleaning and disinfecting purposes, and it releases chlorine, which is a disinfectant, and the concentration of the chemical in the solution varies according to the purpose it is meant for. Large quantities of chlorine can be harmful, and recently it is in news because sodium hypochlorite is being used to sanitize things and persons to reduce the fear of coronavirus. Now, question number 10 is, which of the following island or islands are located east of international dateline? So in last lecture we have discussed about west of international dateline. Now the question is east of international dateline. So in the given option, the correct one is B, that is American Samoa. And Tuvalu and Samoa are located in the west side of international dateline. More you can see in the image. So American Samoa, the Cook Islands, New and French Polynesia are east of international dateline and are 1 day behind. So that's all in our today's MCQs. So question number 1 is with reference to Jammu and Kashmir Reorganization Order 2020. First, a person residing in Jammu and Kashmir for at least 15 years will be eligible to be a domicile of the UT. Second, the Act authorizes Deputy Commissioner as the competent authority for issuing domicile certificates. So here statement first is correct. The second is incorrect. So option will be A, one only. So recently central government has redefined domicile for government jobs in the newly created UT of Jammu and Kashmir through Jammu and Kashmir Reorganization Order 2020. So as per the order, the person residing in Jammu and Kashmir for at least 15 years will be eligible for the domicile of the Jammu and Kashmir, and those who have studied in Jammu and Kashmir for 7 years and appeared in either class 10 or 12 exam will also be eligible for Jammu and Kashmir domicile certificate. Also, the domicile rights are extended to all migrants who have been registered by the Relief and Rehabilitation Commissioner, but the Act authorizes the Tehsildar, not Deputy Commissioner, as a competent authority for issuing domicile certificate. That's why statement second was incorrect, and Centre has also repealed the Jammu and Kashmir Civil Services Act as well. Now question number 2 is, which of the following sector or sectors include in coal sector industries? So coal, natural gas, cement, fertilizers, all are included in coal sector industries. So option will be B, all of the above. So there are 8 core industries in India that include electricity, steel, refinery products, crude oil, coal, cement, natural gas and fertilizers. And these 8 core industries comprises 40.27% of the weight of items that are included in the Index of Industrial Production. And the decreasing order of the weightage of core sector industries is, the highest is given to refinery products, then electricity, steel, coal, crude oil, natural gas, cement, and the lowest is given to fertilizers. And the context is that the growth in refinery products, electricity and coal production pulls up India's coal sector growth in February 2020 to an 11-month high of 5.5%. Now question number 3 is with reference to Indian Council for Cultural Relations. First, ICCR was founded by Maulana Abul Kalam Azad in 1950. Second, it aims to foster and strengthen cultural relations and mutual understanding between India and other countries. So here, both the given statements are correct. So option will be C. So this organization was founded in 1950 by Maulana Abul Kalam Azad, who was first Education Minister of Independent India, and its objective is to actively participate in the formulation and implementation of policies and programs pertaining to India's external cultural relations. And this council organizes cultural festivals as well all over world and in India. And the context is that ICCR has launched global painting competition and the title is United Against Corona expressed through art. That's why it is in news. Now question number 4 is Natuna Islands in news recently lie in which of the following water bodies? So the correct answer is South China Sea. So option will be B. So this is the map is given and they are located in the south part of South China Sea in the Natuna Sea and it is part of larger Toots archipelago of the northwest coast of Borneo and Indonesia's exclusive economic zone. A 200 nautical mile zone overlaps with China's capacious 9-9 claim, under which Beijing asserts right over nearly 90% of the critical waterways and Natuna Islands. And the context is that, backed by armed Chinese Coast Guard ships, Chinese fishing fleets have been riding Natuna Islands of the South China Sea that are internationally recognized as exclusively Indonesia's to fish. Also, area near South China Sea is very important with the point of view of UPSC. So you should be knowing these kind of details. Now question number 5 is when did the Great Dane mass extinction event occurred in Earth? So in the given option, the correct one is 252 million years ago. So option will be C. So a latest study has found that Earth is already on track to repeat one of the biggest mass extinction events in history due to rapid global warming, and the study compared the current conditions of the modern world to the events that triggered the Great Dane that was occurred in 252 million years ago and marked the end of the Permian geological period. And the Great Dane event wiped out 96% of all marine species and about 2/3 of the terrestrial species, and it was worse than the giant asteroid impact which caused the extinction of dinosaurs in around 65 million years ago. And the past century has seen the global temperature rise by around 1 Celsius, and experts predict further warming by up to 3 Celsius by next couple of decades due to burning of fossil fuels. And it is estimated that between 0.01 and 0.1% of all species on Earth will become extinct every year. So these are some worrying facts. Now question number 6 is recently Tabligh Jamaat was in news. So consider the following statement. First, it literally means a society for spreading the faith. Second, it is a Shia Islamic missionary movement. Third, its roots lie in the Deobandi version of the Hanafi school. Fourth, there is no defined structure of it. So here, statement second is incorrect. So if we eliminate second, our option will be B. And the statement second is incorrect because it is a Sunni Islamic missionary movement, not Shia. So both Shia and Sunni are two sects within Islam. And the proletization or proselytizing movement aims to reach out to ordinary Muslims and revive their faith, particularly in matters of ritual, dress and personal behavior, and it was launched by Deoband cleric and prominent Islamic scholar Maulana Muhammad in 1927 in Mewat, and its emergence also coincides with Hindu proselytizing movements. Now question number 7 is consider the following characteristics of savanna climate. First, savannas are comprised mostly of trees and a few scattered grasses. Second, savannas are subject to regular wildfires. Third, it is a transitional type of climate found between equatorial rainforest and hot desert. So as we have to choose the incorrect one, here the incorrect one is statement first. So option will be A. So in the map, extent of savanna grassland is given, and statement first is incorrect because savannas are comprised mostly of trees, not trees, but mostly of grasses, and there are few scattered trees. And the given statement was just reverse of it. That's why it was incorrect. And this type of climate has alternate wet and dry seasons similar to monsoon climate but has considerably less annual rainfall. Also, there is no distinct rain season like in monsoon climate, and the savanna is known as big game country as thousands of animals are trapped or killed every year by people from all over the world. And there are two main groups of animals in the savanna, that is, first, the grass eating herbivorous animals, and second, the flesh eating carnivorous animals. Now question number 8 is, recently Punjab Village and Small Towns Act was in news. So consider the following statements. First, it is a British era law. Second, the time period of the applicability of the order is up to the Deputy Commissioner and the maximum time period is up to 1 year under the law. So both the given statements are correct. So option will be C. So recently the authorities in Panchkula invoked an ordinary deemed but redundant British era law, and the title is Punjab Village and Small Towns Act, to curtail people's movement during the lockdown, and it was first enacted in 1918 in erstwhile Punjab to make provisions for nightly patrol duty by inhabitants of small villages and towns in case of emergency. And under this act, if the Deputy Commissioner of a district in Punjab or Haryana is of the opinion that in a village special measures need to be taken to secure public safety, he has the power to make an order required all able-bodied adult male inhabitants to patrol the village. Now question number 9 is, how do bats survive despite being carrier of viruses themselves? So you have to choose the correct option. So in the given option, the correct one is A, all of the above. D, meaning A, B, C all are correct. So studies have shown that when bats fly, the energy required in their bodies cause cells to break down into bits of DNA which are then released. Well, most organisms who treat such DNA particles as foreign invading bodies, in bats such responses are more muted, and due to this weakened response, do not develop inflammations which can cause a considerable toll on the body's energy. And this phenomena is believed to be the reason so many viruses can exist in their bodies. Now question number 10 is, where Sri Venkateshwara Wildlife Sanctuary is located? So in the given option, the correct one is B, Andhra Pradesh. So this is the location is given, and it is a national park and biosphere reserve in Andhra Pradesh in India. So that's all in our today's lecture. Section, how much you are scoring from the MCQs. So let's begin our today's MCQs. So question number 1 is, with reference to National Agriculture Market. First, eNAM is the Pan-India Electronic Trade Portal to facilitate online trading in agricultural commodities. Second, it is an initiative of Ministry of Commerce. So here, statement first is correct, but second is incorrect. So option will be A, one only. And statement second is incorrect because eNAM is an initiative of Ministry of Agriculture, and it was launched in 2016 as a Pan-India Electronic Trade Portal to facilitate farmers, traders and buyers with online trading in agricultural commodities. And recently, Union Agriculture Minister has launched new features in eNAM platform, and the new features will reduce farmers' need to come to wholesale mandis for selling their harvested products and decongest mandis amid COVID-19. And the features include warehouse-based trading module to facilitate trade from warehouses, then farmer-producer organization trading module. Another one is enhanced version of logistic module to facilitate inter-mandi and interstate trade. Now question number 2 is, with reference to autism. First, it is a developmental disorder that impairs the ability to communicate and interact. Second, the cause of the disorder is necessarily genetic. So statement first is correct, the second is incorrect. So option will be A, one only. So here is the image is given. It is of autism spectrum disorder, and autism is a serious lifelong developmental disorder that impairs the ability to communicate and interact, and the disorder impacts the nervous system and affects the overall cognitive, emotional, social, and physical health of the affected individual. And it is caused due to genetic factor as well as environmental factor as well. And that's why statement second was incorrect. And the context is that the World Autism Awareness Day is observed on April 2nd by the members of United Nations to increase the awareness about autism spectrum disorder. And the theme is the transition to adulthood. Now question number 3 is with reference to strategic disinvestment. First, strategic disinvestment means the sale of majority shares of government in a public sector undertaking. Second, the government retains the management rights of the PSU even after strategic disinvestment. So statement first is correct, second is incorrect. So option will be A, one only. So strategic disinvestment implies the sale of substantial portion of the government's shareholding of central public sector enterprises of up to 50% or such higher percentage along with the transfer of management control. That's why statement second was incorrect, and it means when the government sells majority shares in a public enterprise, that is strategic disinvestment or sale, and giving up the ownership of the entity as well. And DIPAM under the Ministry of Finance has been made the nodal department for the strategic stake sale in the public sector undertaking from 14th April 2016. And DIPAM and NITI Aayog jointly identify PSUs for strategic disinvestment. So both DIPAM and NITI Aayog jointly identify PSUs, but nodal department for strategic stake sale is DIPAM, which is under Ministry of Finance. Also, the government has set the fiscal deficit target for financial year 2020 at 3.3% of the GDP. One more thing, when disinvestment is done, whether the money goes in revenue, receipt or capital receipt, you have to answer this question in the comment section. And if you don't know, please Google it. Now question number 4 is, Arogya Setu in news is an initiative of which of the following ministry? So the correct answer is Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology. So option will be C. So National Informatics Center, which is under Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology, has developed an application namely Arogya Setu, and it is a multilingual application which aims to connect Indian citizens with essential health services in the wake of the ongoing coronavirus crisis. And the app uses a person's phone's Bluetooth and GPS system to alert him whenever he comes within 6 feet of a COVID-19 infected person. And the alerts are generated by scanning through government-owned location-specific patient database. And when the application searches for information about COVID-19 patient, it does not disturb the privacy of the patient. Now question number 5 is, Utkal Divas in news recently is the foundation day of which of the following? So the correct answer is, it is the foundation day of Odisha. So option will be B. So Utkal Divas is celebrated every year on 1st April, and the day is celebrated in the memory of formation of the state as a separate province on 1st April 1936, and the year 2020 marks the 83rd Utkal Divas or the foundation day of Odisha, and Odisha was the first state that was formed on linguistic basis in 1936. So here we are talking about pre-independent era. After independence, the first state which was formed on linguistic basis was Andhra Pradesh, and Odisha was carved out of the combined Bengal, Bihar and Odisha province. Now question number 6 is with reference to public distribution system of India. First, it is the system of management of scarcity through distribution of food grains at affordable prices. Second, PDS is supplement in nature. Third, it is intended to make available the entire requirement of any of the commodities. Fourth, PDS is operated under the joint responsibility of the central and state governments. So here statement third is incorrect. So our option will be A if we eliminate third one. And statement third is incorrect because it is not intended to make available the entire requirement of any of the commodities distributed under it to a household or a section of the society. And central government through Food Corporation of India has assumed the responsibilities of procurement, storage, transportation and bulk allocation of food grains to the state government, and the operational responsibility including allocation within a state, identification of eligible families, issue of ration cards and supervision of the functioning of fair price shops etc. are vested with the state governments. Now question number 7 is recently e-way bills were in news. So consider the following statement. First, it is generated when there is a movement of goods of more than rupees 5,000. Second, unregistered persons are also required to generate e-way bill. Third, it is not necessary to generate e-way bill when the mode of transport is non-motored vehicle. As you have to choose the incorrect one, so here the incorrect one statement is first, so option will be A. And statement first is incorrect because e-way bill will be generated when there is a movement of goods in a vehicle of more than 50,000, not 5,000. And when an e-way bill is generated, a unique e-way bill number is allocated and is available to the supplier, recipient and the transporter. And a registered person or the transporter may choose to generate and carry e-way bill even if the value of goods is less than 50,000. And the transporters carrying goods by road, rail, air, etc. also need to generate e-way bills if the suppliers has not generated an e-way bill. Now question number 8 is recently RBI has hiked the limit of ways and means advances for state governments. So consider the following statement regarding ways and means advances. First, it is a temporary loan facility. Second, it was introduced in 1997. So here both the given statements are correct. So option will be C. The Reserve Bank of India gives temporary loan facility to the state as well as central government. And this scheme was introduced to meet mismatches in the receipts and payments of the government, and the limits of ways and means advances are decided by the government and RBI mutually and revised periodically. So these are some important details regarding ways and means advances. Now question number 9 is recently guidelines on dead body management for handling bodies of coronavirus patient was announced. So you have to choose the correct option here. So as all the given statements are correct, so option will be D, all of the above. So the ministry guideline says the main driver of COVID-19 transmission is through droplets, and there is unlikely to be an increased risk of COVID infection from a dead body to health workers or family members who follow standard precautions while handling the body, and only the lungs of dead patients, if handled during an autopsy, can be infectious. And the ministry listed 5 such basic cautious guidelines for health workers like hand hygiene, use of personal protective equipment including gloves, masks, etc., safe handling of shafts, disinfecting bag housing the body and disinfecting linen covering it. Now question number 10 is state of Juan de Fuca is located between which of the following countries? So the correct answer is it is between Canada and US. So option will be C. So here is the map is given, and this strait is a body of water that is Shelly's Seas outlet to the Pacific Ocean, and the international boundary between Canada and US running down the center of the strait. So that's all in our today's. So question number 1 is with reference to Indian Telegraph Act 1885. First, the Act authorizes government to access information of a user's phone data in case of any public emergency. Second, an order for interception of communication can only be made by the Home Secretary. So here both the statements are correct. So option will be C. So recently, Center is using Indian Telegraph Act 1885 to fetch information from telecom companies every 15 minutes to track COVID-19 cases across the country if a patient escapes from quarantine, and the states have been asked to seek the approval of their home secretaries under the provision of Section 5, Clause 2 of the Act to request the Department of Communication to provide information regarding his location by email or SMS in case the person escapes. And provisions of Section 5, Clause 2 under the Act authorizes state and central government to access information of a user's phone data in case of occurrence of any public emergency or in the interest of the public safety. And it can also order interception of communication in the interest of sovereignty and integrity of India and the security of the state, etc. As there are some regional restrictions on fundamental rights as well. And the only authority to make orders for law interception is Home Secretary to the Government of India and Home Secretaries of state governments. Now question number 2 is with reference to counter-cyclic capital buffers. First, it is aimed to protect the banking sector against losses from changes in economic conditions. Second, the discretion for operating the released phase of CCYB is vested with the banks. So here statement first is correct, but second is incorrect. So option will be A, 1 only. And the statement second is incorrect because the discretion for operating the release phase of CCYB shall be with RBI, not with banks. And recently RBI has put framework on counter-cyclical capital buffer under Basel III norms. And it requires banks to hold capital at times when credit is growing rapidly so that the buffer can be reduced if the financial cycle turns down or the economic and financial environment becomes substantially worse. And banks can use the capital buffers they have built up during the growth phase of the financial cycle to cover losses that may arise during periods of stress and to continue supplying credit to the real economy. And the entire CCYB accumulation may be released at a single point in a time, but the use of the same is to be decided only by or after discussion with the RBI. Now question number 3 is with reference to National Preparedness Survey on COVID-19. First, the survey was meant to identify the priorities, constraints and deficiencies in COVID-19 fight. Second, the survey showed the awareness has increased and about 75% of population is taking precautions. So here statement first, second both are correct. So option will be C. And the objective of the survey was to develop comparative analysis on the steps taken by the state, capture deficiencies in the current action and to identify the priorities and constraints in the preparedness of COVID-19 fight. And the survey showed that the citizens' awareness about the virus has increased and around 75% people are taking precautions. But the main concern of the survey was that the non-availability of adequate ventilator machines and only 50% agreed on the adequacy of availability of beds. Now question number 4 is Lifeline Udan in News is an initiative of which of the following ministry? And the correct ministry is Ministry of Civil Aviation. So option will be B. So Ministry of Civil Aviation has launched Lifeline Udan, which is an initiative to operationalize flights for the movement of essential and medical supplies across the nation, and as many as 62 Lifeline Udan flights have been operated under this initiative. And the flights under Lifeline Udan are planned using a hub and spoke model where cargo hubs have been set up at Mumbai, Delhi, Kolkata, Hyderabad and Bengaluru. And the flights connect these hubs and they are from different parts of India. And the carriers involved in this initiative include Alliance Air, Air India, Indian Air Force and Pawan Hans. Now question number 5 is Operation Sanjeevani was conducted by Air Force recently in which of the following countries? So the correct answer is Maldives. So option will be B. So this is the location of Maldives, and as per the request from Maldives, the Indian Air Force launched Operation Sanjeevani to deliver essential drugs to the country, and Indian Air Force C-130J transport aircraft delivered 6.2 ton of essential medicines and hospital consumables to the country. And medicines also include antiviral drugs such as lopinavir and ritonavir, which have been used to treat patients with COVID-19, and the supplies cannot be transported through any other means due to 11-day lockdown imposed to contain the spread of COVID-19. Now question number 6 is, recently learning management system was in news. So consider the following statement. First, it is a software application. Second, LMS are focused on online learning delivery. Third, the LMS may be used to create professional structured course content. Fourth, LMS can enable teachers to create customized tests for students, accessible and submitted online. So here all the given statements are correct. So our option will be D, all of the above. So the learning management system can create an online means of mediating actually between teacher and student, so that teacher-student interaction could take place, and without such a mechanism to organize learning and teaching, the process can become hazy, ineffective and stressful to both teachers and students on a everyday basis. And with the COVID-19 disrupting lives so fundamentally and deeply, and the possibility of shutdown in certain countries going into months, students will need to be given learning environment where education and knowledge distribution is regulated, graded and personalized. Now question number 7 is, recently National Security Act 1980 was in news. So consider the following statement. First, the act was passed during the Indira Gandhi government. Second, the National Security Act allows preventive detention. Third, under the act, the government has no power to detain a foreigner. So here we have to choose the incorrect one, and the incorrect one is statement third. So option will be C. And statement third is incorrect because under this act, the government has power to detain a foreigner in a view to regulate his presence or expel from the country, and this act empowers the central government as well as state governments to detain a person to prevent him or her from acting in any manner prejudicial to the security of India, the relation of India with foreign countries, the maintenance of public order, or the maintenance of supplies and service essential to the community. Also, Article 22 of the Constitution laid down the scheme under which a preventive detention law can be enacted. Now question number 8 is, recently National Commission on Women was in news. So first, it is a constitutional body. Second, it advises the government on all policy matters affecting women. So here statement first is incorrect, second is correct. So option will be B, second only. And statement first is incorrect because it is not a constitutional body, it is a statutory body which was formed under National Commission for Women Act 1990, and it reviews the constitutional and legal safeguards for women, and it recommends remedial legislative measures. It facilitates redressal of grievances, and its mission is that Indian women, secure in her home and outside, full empowered to access all her rights and entitlements with opportunity to contribute equally in all walks of life. But do remember, it is not a constitutional body, it is a statutory body. Now question number 9 is, consider the following statements regarding Delimitation Commission of India, and you have to choose the correct option. So in the given option, the correct option is option A. And option A is correct because in India such delimitation commissions have been constituted 4 times, that is in 1952, then in 1963, then 1973 and in 2002. And delimitation literally means the act or process of fixing limits or boundaries of territorial constituency in a country or a province having a legislative body. And the Delimitation Commission in India is a high-powered body whose orders have the force of law and cannot be questioned in any court. This you should be knowing. Whereas these orders come into force on a date to be specified by President of India, not Parliament of India, and these copies of its order are laid down before House of People, that is Lok Sabha and State Legislative Assembly concerned, but no modification are permissible therein by them. So all the given facts are important, and UPSC can easily confuse aspirants by giving these kind of statements, so don't get confused. Now question number 10 is, Azores Islands are located in which of the following water body? So the correct answer is, they are located in Atlantic Ocean. So here is the image is given, and they are located in North Atlantic Ocean and are Portuguese archipelago. So that's all in our today's MCQs. Hope you. Question number 1 is with reference to National Commission for Women. First, National Commission for Women is a constitutional body. Second, it is concerned with advising the government on all policy matters affecting women. So the statement first is incorrect, second is correct, so option will be B, that is second only. And the statement first is incorrect because National Commission for Women is a statutory body, not a constitutional body, and it is being set up under National Commission for Women Act 1990. An objective of National Commission for Women is to represent the rights of women in India and to provide a voice for their issues and concerns. And their functioning includes review the constitutional and legal safeguards for women, recommend remedial legislative measures, facilitate redressal of grievances, and advise the government on all policies matter affecting women. And context is that under lockdown, National Commission for Women has recorded a more than twofold increase in the gender-based violence cases, and that's why this organization is in news. Now question number 2 is with reference to demographic dividend. First, a country has potential to reap a demographic dividend if it has increased fertility and decreased mortality rate. Second, the benefit of a demographic dividend depends on whether the bulk in working population can be trained. And option is again B, because here statement first is incorrect one. And statement first was incorrect because it is the economic growth potential that can result from decreased fertility, not increased one, and decreased mortality rate. And demographic dividend refers to the economic growth potential of a country, mainly when the share of the working age population, that is from 15 to 64 years, is larger than the non-working age share of the population, that means 14 years below and 65 years or older than that. Also, demographic dividend can increase economic growth of a country by selling off labor force, by increased fiscal space, etc. And the last one point we have already discussed in the question. So let's move on to the next question. Now question number 3 is with reference to NASA's Artemis project. First, the project aims to land humans on the moon by 2024. Second, the project is the first mission that plans a stay on the moon. So here both the given statements are correct, so option will be C. And Artemis is an ambitious project of NASA, and the project aims to place first women and next men on the moon. And the project has also planned to make a 1 month or 2 month stay on the moon and build a base camp on the moon's south pole. And there are other space agencies as well which will work in collaboration with NASA, include European Space Agency, Canadian Space Agency, Japan Space Agency, and Australian Space Agency. So NASA alone is not working on this project. There are other space agencies as well. Now question number 4 is Kavach Recently News is an initiative of which of the following ministries? So the correct ministry here is Ministry of Science and Technology. So option will be D. So Kavach stands for Center for Augmenting War with COVID-19 Health Crisis, which was set up by Department of Science and Technology, and it is being set up to scout, evaluate and support the innovation and startups that address COVID-19 challenges. Implementing agency of Kavach will be Society for Innovation and Entrepreneurship, which is at IIT Bombay, supported by Department of Science and Technology. And Kavach is focused on leveraging extraordinary innovative potential of our technology incubators and startups and empowering them for scale up to speedily address the multidimensional challenges of the pandemic. So you should be knowing what does Kavach mean, which ministry has started the initiative and which is the implementing agency. Now let's move on to the next question. Now question number 5 is Veeraval Fishing Harbour recently news is located in which of the following states? So the correct answer is Gujarat. So option will be B. So this is the location of Veeraval Fishing Harbour and it is located in Saurashtra zone of Gujarat and was developed in 1980, and it is also known for the hub of fishing industries in India, and the context is that countrywide lockdown has left thousands of migrant fishermen from Andhra Pradesh stranded at this harbour. Also, Gujarat has the longest coastline in India and is country's largest seafood producer, which drove thousands of migrants from South India to work on mechanized fishing trawlers in the state. Now question number 6 is with reference to environment impact assessment. So consider the following statement. First, EIA in India is statutorily backed by the Environment Protection Act 1986. Second, EIA delinks environment with development for environmentally safe and sustainable development. Third, EIA encourages the adaptation of mitigation strategies in the developmental plan. Fourth, Category A projects need mandatory environmental clearance. So here statement second is incorrect. So if we eliminate statement second, we will get the option B. So here the option will be B. And the statement second is incorrect because EIA not delinks, it links environment with the development. So do focus on these kind of keywords. Also after 2006 amendment, now environment impact assessment is of 4 stages, which include screening, scoping, public hearing and appraisal. And category A projects and category B projects undergoes the complete EIA process, whereas category B2 projects are excluded from complete EIA process. Now question number 7 is recently Office of Principal Scientific Advisor was in news. So consider the following statement. First PSA, that is Principal Scientific Advisor, was APJ Abdul Kalam. Second, the Office of the Principal Scientific Advisor to the Government of India advises the government in science and technology policy. Third, there have been a total of 3 PSAs so far and you have to choose incorrect one, but because no statement is incorrect one, so option will be D, none of the above. So first PSA was APJ Abdul Kalam and he was followed by Raj Gopala Chidambaram, and current PSA is K. Vijay Raghavan and it is currently a secretary level position created in 1999 by the Vajpayee government, and recently the Office of Principal Scientific Advisor to the government issued a detailed manual on how to make homemade masks, and that's why it was in news. Also find out whether the office is constitutional, non-constitutional, statutory or extra-constitutional. And if you know the answer, please write down in the comment section. Now let's move on to the next question. Question number 8 is recently BCG vaccine was in news. So first, it is a dead attenuated strain derived from an isolate of Microbacterium bovis. Second, it has been used widely across the world as a vaccine for tuberculosis. So here statement first is incorrect, second is correct. So option will be B, second only. And the statement first is incorrect because it is a live attenuated strain, not a dead. That's why it was incorrect one. And a live attenuated vaccine means that it uses a pathogen whose potency as a disease producer has been artificially disabled, but whose essentially identifying characters which help the body mount an immune response to it have been left unchanged. And BCG remains part of the basket of vaccines included in the Universal Immunization Program. Now question number 9 is, in lockdown, which of the following law or laws have been invoked by the government? So government has invoked Disaster Management Act 2005, Section 188 of the Indian Penal Code, Epidemic Diseases Act. So option will be D, all of the above. So during the lockdown, Section 188 of the Indian Penal Code has been widely invoked against those not following it, and persons violating the containment measures will be liable to the punishment under provisions of the Disaster Management Act 2005 besides Section 188 of the IPC, and for those violating orders passed under the Epidemic Diseases Act, Section 188 IPC is the provision under which punishment is awarded. Now question number 10 is, Kasaragod district was recently used, so where is it located? So the correct answer is, it is located in Kerala. So here you can see in the map, it is the northernmost district of Kerala. Also it is one of the 14 districts in Kerala.